Welcome to this video. My name is Christian from Beyond Premiere, and this is everything you need to know about the timeline of events so far from the series from season 1 to season 2. There's a ton of mystery and questions surrounding this freaky town that no one can escape from, and if you're watching my channel and the series, you know how intense things have gotten with the Matthews family and the other survivors trapped in this town. Much time has passed since the beginning through season 2. From the different disappearances that have happened to what we know about the creatures in the woods, to the key moments for our main characters like Boy, Donna, Kenny, and the Matthews family. So strap in and get ready as we dive into the full timeline and story so far from both seasons of this addictive show. Let's get into it. So our story in the show is not really clear. We know that the monsters are in this town and that the boy in white is important. We know that the town was cursed many years ago, going by the people who arrived by the boat and saw the lighthouse. We also know that there's a big villain, which is the red monster that we have not seen so far, but in pretty much in season 2 there's a lot of hints about this character. So we are getting pieces of the puzzle of what is happening in from. There's other questions like the trees with the bottles and the numbers, so no answers about that. Also, who created a music box. So those are things that are there, but they're not really explained. Why later people began to get stranded in this town. Our first history of events is when Martin arrived. At an unknown point in time, Martin was an United States Marine. He ended up getting trapped in the mysterious town like many others. He went through one of the faraway trees, hoping it would provide an escape, but it transported him somewhere else instead. He became imprisoned in the dungeon, hold to the whole wall, and also we see skeletons of previous prisoners surrounding him. We also know that when you go into the dungeon, you're in the nightmare world, so where was his physical body, like we see with the other characters like Marielle and Randall and Julie. Martin was kept prisoner by an unnamed nightmare creature that would visit. They kept him alive, but he had worms inside his body that fed onto him from the inside, and he lost track of how long he was imprisoned there. For him, it felt like an eternity of suffering. Over time, he lost hope of escape or rescue. His only desire was death to end his misery. Later in his story, he meets Boyd. One day, he heard his voice from the bottom of the dry well. After Boyd climbed out, Martin begged him to kill him, but Boyd refused, setting up the events of season 2. Martin warned Boyd about the creatures and told him to escape quickly before they return, but Boyd wanted to free him, providing the worms to Boyd. Connecting to the events of season 2, moving into the later events in the series is Victor arriving in 1970 to the town. Around that time, it could be more or less, but here's a summary of the events of Victor arriving to the town as a child and also some of his key events. So Victor arrived into the mysterious town as a young boy sometime in the 1970s with his mother Miranda and his sister Eloise. They live in the town along with the other trapped people, including a man named Christopher who used to make everyone laugh. One day Christopher saw a strange symbol and became withdrawn and cold. Miranda grew worried as well as everyone else. She told Victor and Eloise to hide in the root cellar while she dealt with something. This is the kids in the lighthouse. Eloise followed her, but Victor stayed behind, scared. In the morning, Victor emerged to find everyone dead, including his mother and sister, and meeting the boy in white. The trauma blocked out his memories of his sister. Young Victor moved the cars of the dead to the car graveyard. He survived alone in town for years, drawing pictures to remember events. At some point as a child, Victor also met and befriended the mysterious boy in white who would appear and disappear. The boy in white led Victor to discover things like the faraway trees that transport people, as well as how the trees were moving and so on. Actually, Victor is the only person that has direct communication with the boy in white besides some minor moments that we see. Over time, Victor came to live at Colony House while continuing to document events through drawings and maps as he waited a chance to escape. But for him, this is his home. He recalled that the night his mother left them in the root cellar, she mentioned going to the lighthouse to save the children, something that we soon discover in season 2 with Tabitha. It is implied Miranda knew of the imprisoned children and went to the lighthouse to try and rescue them. That night, however, Miranda did not return and was killed along with the other townspeople. Victor later found her body by the second bottle tree. As for Eloise, Victor has repressed all memories of his sister due to trauma, and he thought the drawings were his. but eventually he remembered Eloise and how she ran after their mother that night while he hid and he was scared. Since Eloise directly followed Miranda, it raises the possibility that she actually made it to the lighthouse. This means Victor's sister could have found an escape from the town through the lighthouse. Now moving to the story of Victor, as we know he lived in the town. The story then goes to Donna, who arrived on 8-3 from Bozeman, Montana towards Chateau with her sister. They were on a hunting trip and had meat in their truck they did not want to spoil. Instead of turning back before the sunset, Donna's sister insisted they continued through this strange town they encountered. The first time driving through, they saw people on the road. The second time, a smiling creature stood in front of their car. When Donna's sister threatened it with a shotgun, the creature ripped her face off. Donna remembers running and hiding in the woods, listening to her sister's screams as the creatures obviously killed her. Donna has been trapped in the town ever since. For over 3 years now, she's haunted by the memory of her sister's horrific death, but also Donna is a tough now leader of Colony House, determined to keep the residents safe from the nightly terrors, though it came at such a devastating personal cost. The next chapter who arrived was Father Catry. He was a priest who went missing on July 12, 2019, so a year later, while traveling from St. Charles, Illinois to Wisconsin. Before coming to the mysterious town, Father Catry was a priest who had a traumatic experience with a young boy in his congregation. The boy was quiet and sensitive with very strict parents. One day the boy asked Father Catry if he could stay with him for a while, likely to get away from his parents, but he, not wanting to worry the parents, just gave the boy a candy bar and sent him his way home. Later, when father went to check on the boy at his house, the mother came rushing out hysterical. The father was yelling at the dead body of their son. This is about the trauma that the characters experience, and him experiencing this is how he later becomes trapped in this town, and he serves as a priest and provided the spiritual guidance to the residents. The interesting about this is that the monsters know what happened to him outside the house. This is why he hides everything in the location that he hid it, and they knew about this. We move then to the story in November 2019, where Boyd Stevens arrived in the mysterious town with his wife Abby and young son Ellis. They were traveling south from Petersburg, Virginia towards Wilmington, North Carolina when they got trapped. At first, they live in chaos and fear like the other residents, hiding at night as creatures attack people, and many died each week. In the early days, Boyd went into the woods searching for an escape. Here, he discovered the talisman that could protect the creatures when hung in an enclosed space. This allowed people to finally have a safe haven at night. Now Abby goes crazy, but what's interesting about this is that Boyd's background made him well suited to bring order and organization to the people and the town. He was the one that provided security protocols at night for people to take shelter. So he becomes a sheriff, but he took on the burden of making the tough decisions for the community's survival, like punishing rule breakers like we saw in episode 1. Abby was later killed by Boyd as she continued to kill people in the town, saying that it was all a dream to wake up. So this is really interesting and how it connects to a possible season 3. Now we move the story to 2021, February 28, which is Fatima, who was traveling northwest from Boulder, Colorado towards Portland, Oregon, when she became trapped in the mysterious town. She was born in Iran, where her family escaped to the US after her outspoken cleric father was killed by the government on her 11th birthday. In the town, Fatima lives at Colony House and tries to maintain a positive attitude despite the horrors around them. He helps the new arrivals like Julie, acting as a mentor and a friend, and Fatima is in a relationship with Ellis Stevens, which later becomes a marriage. She provides emotional support to him, and now they're gonna have a baby in season 2. Something that we soon discover is on the anniversary of her arrival, the residents celebrate her survival on 1 year, but that night is when the creatures attack the house, nearly killing Ellis and the others before they protect themselves. This is how Father Catry died in that day, but I know that there's a lot of that happens in between, but this is just more providing information on some of the events in the timeline. Now the next one to arrive is Kenny and his parents, who went missing on March 18, 2021. They were last seen traveling from Austin, Texas to College Station, Texas when they became trapped in the mysterious town. Kenny's father had advanced dementia and was rapidly worsening. One night he wandered off and took a bus to Austin alone. On the drive back, after retrieving his dad, the family entered the town and became trapped. In the town, and Kenny helped care of his declining fathers along with nurse Christy. His mother was in denial about his condition, and Kenny also served as deputy to Sheriff Boyd, assisting with new arrivals and security protocols. This is when tragedy struck when Kenny's dad was killed by one of the creatures on the same night. This is why the character of Sarah allowed this to happen. Kenny was devastated, feeling he failed to protect them, and this is something that we saw in season 2. Now we move into another character arriving in August 6, 2021, and this is Christy Miller, traveling from Detroit, Michigan to Grand Rapids, Michigan when she became trapped in the mysterious town. In Detroit, she was engaged to her girlfriend Marielle prior to disappearing. Their separation after Christy got stuck in the town was painful for both. With her medical training, Christy served as the doctor to the residents of the town, running the clinic. Christy provides medical aid and comfort to the survivors in the town, and she remains hopeful that one day she will escape and reunite with her lost fiance, Marielle. But going to what we saw in season 2, she gets reunited, but the question is why Marielle was trapped in the town as well. The next character that is went missing is Sarah Myers, and she went missing on September 18, 2021. After being seen traveling from New Hope, Pennsylvania towards Boston, she ended up trapped in the mysterious town along with her protective brother Nathan. Sarah worked as a waitress at the local diner. After the Matthews family arrival, Sarah was visioned by disturbing voices telling her to kill the boy, but obviously it was referring to the boy in white. Sarah led the creatures into the clinic to kill Kenny's father. He obviously regretted it, but kept it a secret until she told father Katri. Desperate to go home for everyone, Sarah did everything, including almost killing Ethan and accidentally killing her brother who tried to stop her. Father Katri hid her from the townspeople after her crimes, and she explained to him that the voices in the town promise an escape if she obeyed them. Sarah appears to be connected to the town in a mysterious way and in a unique way, but this link has driven her to commit horrific acts, leaving deep guilt and trauma. Now obviously in the timeline, the last ones to arrive is Jade and the Matthews family. Jim, Tabitha, and their children Julie and Ethan missing on February 20, 2022, last traveling from Glendale, Arizona towards Yellowstone National Park. Jade, a wealthy young tech entrepreneur, was celebrating the sale of his company with his best friend Toby, and they were driving from New York City to Miami while being intoxicated when they entered the town as well. On the same day as the Matthews family, something Victor has said has not happened in a long time. And this is where we set up into the events of the first season, where they want to escape the Matthews family and Jay wants to discover more about the town, and he gets horrific visions and so on, something that connects to season 2 with the symbol connecting to the history of Christopher, so it's connecting more about what happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future. It's like the cycle's repeating itself. Now that's the complete timeline. We know in season 2 we also get introduction of new characters like Marielle, Randall, and so on, and Tilly, which there's a theory that she's actually evil. I'm going to do a separate video on her and discuss everything about her, but that's the overall timeline of events. It's not a recap per se, more about what happened in the series and the history of the town. I wish there was more information that connects the dot as well as the history. Hopefully in the future I can do a longer video. But what are your thoughts? My name is Christian from Beyond Premiere. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye everyone.